My wife was treating me like a roommate because I got a lower salary and my children are treating me like I don't exist. Now let's see how they can all live without me. I met my wife 20 years ago and we've been married for 15 years. I worked as a software developer at a bank while she worked as a junior financial advisor at an insurance. A year after leaving college she got pregnant and we both concluded that we would be better off as a family if she quit her job and would commit to being a SOM. The reason being, at the time I earned a lot more than she did. At the time we agreed to waiting a few years until our son grew a bit older and then she would go back to work. The plan was to only have one kid. Well, things happened and at the moment he have 3 kids. Our marriage was going great until last December. While everyone's marriages around us started getting stale and started crumbling, I felt like ours only grew stronger the longer we stayed together. Our intimacy life was great and honestly for the time being I couldn't ask for a better wife. She and the kids were the only things I had in my mind. Well, last year my company had some major financial issues and as a result of that my position was dissolved. I had put blood, sweat, and tears to get myself into position and it just got ripped away from me for no fault of my own. I got offered another job in a different department but my pay decreased by nearly 40%. As a result, I couldn't afford a lot of the luxuries we currently had. When I told my wife this, she seemed more distraught than me. I reassured her that I'd immediately start work on finding another job with equal or better pay than my last. For the time being, I told her we need to cut on our expenses. Since then she basically has been treating me like I don't exist. She used to make me lunch to take to work but when she suddenly stopped doing that, I asked her why and she just told me she didn't feel like it. I didn't question her on it since honestly, it was a tough time for all of us. I just chalked it up to her being stressed. She then slowly stopped showing me any affection. She refused to kiss me goodbye when I went to work. She refused any advances I made toward her. Refused to go on our usual dates. Her reasoning always being that she wasn't in the mood. I again didn't question her about it since I thought our financial situation was eating at her. The only time she cared to start conversations with me was to ask if I was getting closer to finding another job. My first child and my second eldest started following suit. They wouldn't talk to me unless it was asking me for money. They would constantly throw temper tantrums over their extracurricular activities being cancelled whenever I tried talking to them about their behavior. My son almost looks at me with disgust whenever he sees me returning from work. I reached my breaking point last week. It was my birthday and nobody seemed to care. I didn't bring it up in the hopes that they would realize it at some point during the day but they never did, or this was some massive prank and we would all celebrate at the end of the day. But nothing. My daughter even made a crappy remark to me about how all her friends got a higher allowance than her. I remember just breaking down into tears that night. I just felt like an afterthought in my own family. It felt like all their love for me was based on how much I earned. I remember my wife rolling over and in an annoyed tone asking what was wrong. I just lost it. I asked her if I even mattered to her at all. I asked her why she's been treating me like a roommate since I changed positions when the last time she kissed me was, we had intimacy, and so on. She just replied with, "You'll get it when you get a better job, when I get my Mercedes back, and when Lisa gets her horse riding lessons back." While still crying I just told her I wanted a divorce and got up and started packing a suitcase. She told me to stop being a baby and to get back in bed and maybe this was the reason I lost my job. I just shouted at her to shut the F up. This was the first time in years that I had raised my voice at my wife. I know for a fact my kids heard me shouting and me leaving the house. Since then I've been staying at a motel about half an hour from our house. Besides my wife sending me half-assed apologies, I haven't gotten any calls or other texts from my family. I feel worthless. Do I truly mean this little to my family? I have an interview with another company planned for next week. I didn't want to give my wife any false hopes so I didn't tell her anything. If I got the job, I wanted it to be a surprise. I don't feel like even attending the interview anymore. For whom am I doing any of this anymore? I feel like if my kids cared about me even a bit they would at least give me a call or something. Their lack of communication is making me believe that I might have overreacted here and I might need to apologize to them for just leaving out of the blue. Should I apologize? I feel really conflicted. I have contacted a divorce lawyer and he is currently drawing up divorce papers as we speak.